All right. Get rid of that sound. Okay, well, I think it's about 7:30. My name is Christy Hillock. I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator here in Salt Lake City with CJ Card Creations. And I am so grateful that you're watching me, whether you're live with me tonight or if you are catching the replay here on Facebook or over on YouTube. So it's great to be here, although I will admit that it's gorgeous outside today and yesterday, and it was kind of hard to make myself come down and get to work. But I think that you will really enjoy what I have tonight for you. And I'm hoping to keep it brief because here in about 9 minutes, my alma mater is going to start a basketball game. I'm sort of a fair weather fan, but I'm pretty excited that they are playing in the Sweet 16 tonight. So if you have a minute to go cheer on Texas Tech, I would love that. And I think that that is kind of, the highlight. So anything else I have to say is not as important. But I will tell you, I have my next in-person class on April 18th, which is a Monday at 6. And after turning in your taxes that day, you're definitely going to want to have some crafty fun with me. And right now we have the Savings in Bloom promotion going. Hey, Julie, thanks for being here. Savings in Bloom promotion, which means that the mini Stampin' Cut and Emboss is on sale for 20% off. So that makes it $48, which is the cheapest you will probably ever see it. And it's a great machine. It can be finicky, but I have some tips and tricks to help you work through that as well. And then also some of the stamp and die bundles in the annual catalog are 20% off. So that's a great opportunity. And also we have the Change is Beautiful Paper Pumpkin subscription sign up right now. That goes through April 10th. Hey, Jane, thanks for being here. And I think that's really it. I'm kind of in between class to go right now. So I hope to have something with that for you either next week or in an email following, which if you don't receive my emails already, I would love it if you would sign up for those and also follow me over on Instagram. I'm just getting started, so my content is, not always super consistent, but hopefully you'll find it entertaining and useful. So, yeah, I am going to switch the view here so that you can see the project a little better. And we are doing a fun fold tonight using the Waves of the Ocean Designer Series paper. And I just thought that this was so beautiful with the yellow, and then it also brings in a little bit of Petal Pink. Let's see, tip it there. And it's just a lot of fun. So as you can see, it's a little bit of a fun fold. It does like that. So we will just get started. I'm gonna clear that off. Okay, so the first thing that you're gonna wanna do is bring in a piece of the Designer Series paper. And this is cut to 4 1/4, nope, just kidding, 5 1/4 by 11. So I am going to swing out the arm on my Stampin' Trimmer here and make sure that my cutting blade is out of the way. And we're going to do a little bit of scoring here. So I'm going to start by scoring it at 1 3/4 inches on the long side. And then 3 1/2. Let's see, there we go. And as always with Designer Series paper, you do want to be a little lighter touched with the scoring blade on this because you can pop through pretty easily. So that was 5 1/4, and then we're going to finish at 7. There we go. And once you've torn a hole in your Designer Series paper on a score line, it is a little bit challenging to fix that. So you can always add some scoring to it, but you can't really take it away. Hey, Mom, glad you're here. All right, so I am just going to burnish these score lines. And as you can see, the backside is beautiful as well. It's got, I don't know, a little more distracting pattern and colors on it, I thought. And so that's why I wanted to really focus on the yellow. Hey, Joe, thanks for joining us. This guy has been missing his surfing and beach time, so not surprising that he would want to check out something ocean related. All right, so all of that scoring is done. So now I'm just going to bring in, I've got all sorts of bits here. So the first piece is 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. So we're just going to adhere the large panel of our designer series paper to that. Get some, sorry, that little banner that says my business name just always kind of is where I like to work for some reason. Hey, Aunt Pat, thanks for being here. So I do just want this panel centered on the Night of Navy panel. And straight is always nice too when we can get there. So we will do that. And now the next thing, I've got a 2 1/4 inch circle in Calypso Coral and a 2-inch circle in Basic White. And then I have a 3-inch square piece of Basic White and a 3 1/4 inch square piece. And then 3 1/4 inch pieces of Petal Pink and 3-inch square of the same designer series paper pattern. And then here I have, sorry, this is a lot of measurements and they're all typed in the description, so you don't need to remember these, but this is 3 1/2 by 3 1/2, and it is going to go just right here. And then I've got this is 3 1/2 by 7. So this actually needs to be scored at the 3 1/2 inch mark as well. So we will just do that. And then we can start stamping and building our card. So I'm just going to burnish this quickly so that it does so that it lays nicely on the card. And then I want to, now we're going to use our cute little mini. So I'm going to take these two pieces and bring in my cut and emboss machine. And I am actually using the number 4 plate and a 3D folder, which those are a little bit thicker than a regular folder. So that's why I went with the 4. And then I'm going to top it with the number 3 plate. And so I'm going to line up all of these ends. See how you can see that. And then that is how it will go into the machine. And just in the interest of not shaking the camera over much, I'm going to have to take it off the camera for just a second. Well, so when I tested this earlier, it actually did work just fine. And for whatever reason, I said this at class the other night, when I get on camera or in front of people, it just doesn't do quite the same. So hopefully we can get this run through. But if not, then there's always a backup plan. There we go. Okay. So bring this back in so you can see what I'm doing. Just had to get it started. All right, so there is that first panel. And I just felt like the splatters embossing folder looked so well coordinated with the pattern on the designer series paper that's why I really wanted to use this one. So I'm going to go ahead and do a second piece now. And same sandwich here. I understand why this is called a sandwich, but still just kind of a goofy name. So, all right, we'll get this one done. And that is actually it for embossing and die cutting for the night. So we can set all of this off to the side. and bring in our stamps and our ink. So with the wave stamp, it is big and it is possible to put it on a block if you really wanted to, but I just decided that it would be a little bit easier for me to do it on my Stamparatus. So what I'm going to do is bring in the 3-inch square panel here, and I want to make sure that I don't have any white edges, so I can see right here where the edges of it are. So I'm just going to lock down a little panel there, and now I can ink it up. And I'm going to use Night of Navy for the waves. Yeah, Jane, that's what I ended up having to do too. I don't know. The other night, it seemed like if everything wasn't perfectly aligned at the end, it wouldn't go at all. So, like I said, it's a little bit nuanced. Hey, Janie. But you know, as long as you're willing to fiddle with it for a second, you can usually get it to cooperate. So I'm just rubbing all over the stamp to make sure that I get a good impression. And there is that. So we can take this out now. And we'll set that aside. And then what I want to do is bring in both of my ink pads actually for this. So I'm using Balmy Blue and some Night of Navy. And I'm going to start with the lighter color and just clean off my blending brush a little bit to make sure that I'm not pulling in the dark ink to the light pad. So now I'll pick up a little bit and then again just get rid of that initial bit of ink, and then just gently gonna brush over. And the reason I'm doing this is just so that it's not quite so stark on that white. And then I can go ahead and get that off to the side and bring in my navy. Now here I'm less concerned about contamination, so I didn't really try to clean the brush or anything. So again, getting rid of some of that initial ink. And I just didn't like all the white in the stamp. So I brought my blender brush in just to kind of even out the colors a little bit. So there is that. And while I have my ink pad open, I am also going to bring in my 2-inch circle and stamp my sentiment, which says you're so totally awesome. So we'll get that right on there. And I also want to bring in my 3¼ inch panel. And with that, I am just going to use whatever ink is left on my blender brush and get just kind of around the edges. This is the piece that we'll use, you know, for writing a sentiment or signing our name or whatever. But I just, again, didn't want it to be quite so stark. So I did that to, you know, kind of tie it all together. So now we can go ahead and start putting everything together. So I will start with this little piece. And Janie, thank you for sharing. I really appreciate that. And definitely when you share, make sure that you comment in the comments of this video that you did share. And that gets you entered into a drawing for a fun prize. And Ellie actually won for last week, and she will be getting a set of the, no idea what they're called, rhinestone waves, basic jewels. So we will use those on this project here in just a minute. So thanks again, Ellie. And yeah, I appreciate Janie reminding me that too. So, all right, here is that piece. And then we will do the other side of this as well. So even though this card packs a lot of impact with the stamp and the embossing and the fold and everything, I do think that it's actually really quite accessible. And if I remember, at the end of this project, I will show you well, we'll see if I can get to it, but I do have another version of this that uses completely different product that's really fun. So now that I have that on there, I'm going to bring in my 3-inch square piece of designer series paper. And this I actually want to pop up. So I'm just going to use a few dimensionals. And there we go. We'll go ahead and put these on. All right, get that nice and centered. So lots of layers here. And again, I just feel like that adds a little bit more to the project. You certainly don't have to go with quite so many, but I figure got the cardstock sitting here and it looks pretty, so I might as well. All right, so we will mount this sentiment here on the circle. So before I went live, I was listening to a very worked up squirrel in my backyard, and I don't know what was going on out there, but I'm just chittering away, and it just feels so springy outside. So birds are chirping, like it's just gorgeous, and I'm quite sure that it will snow again, and you know, all those kinds of things, but it's been really nice to enjoy for the last couple of days. All right, so that is just getting centered up right on here. Theoretically, the sentiment is also straight. So there's that. And now on this side, we are going to put that panel. And so usually I do a better job of keeping stock of things, especially my adhesives, but somehow I ran out of my seal refill and it has been out of stock for a long time. So I'm hoping that we get some in soon, but I am having to use liquid glue in more places than I might otherwise, which is kind of interesting. Okay, so finishing up with all of the mounting of layers. And then we will be just about there. Joe's got a lot of family that lives on the West Coast. And so he's probably going to grab this card to send to someone out there. But he also goes surfing periodically with the owner of a company that he works with. And so it's always fun when I get asked to make a thank you card for him because, you know, get to do something a little out of my usual flowers and bows and all of that kind of thing. And that is one thing. So the new catalog PDF was released yesterday, and looking through it, there are a lot of masculine stamp sets, which I think is quite a bit different from our normal and kind of fun. So I'm excited to do some more playing with those things. So I don't want to glue in the wrong spots. So that's why I'm putting my adhesive directly on the designer series paper instead of the back of this panel. And I am just lining this up so that it's straight here and here. And then I want to keep that same, you know, kind of distance there as well. So now that that side's done, we can come over here and look at this. And then I can actually do this edge right here. All right. So there you have it. And hopefully that is pretty straight. And then it also disguises what is inside the card, because as you know, I don't love when you can see the writing while the card is closed. So then the last thing I'm going to do is bring in those rhinestone waves jewels and my lovely little take your pick tool here. And I do think that I want to grab a couple of these. I don't know, I think those are maybe the Coastal Cabana kind of color. So we're going to do that up here. And then we'll get a balmy blue over here. And then a couple of these little bitty ones. I don't like it when they're like kind of a straight line like that. So there we go. And I think a fifth one will do us. We'll just put that right about there. So there you have it. Oh, well, I'm glad it was a surprise, Janie, that you were excited about. So this stamp set is carrying over to the new annual catalog, but the designer series paper and the rhinestones are not, which is really sad, but I have been having a lot of fun playing with the paper and the stamps and everything. So here is another version of this card, and I actually cased this from Rhonda Wade, and it uses the, let's see, this is the Pattern Party Designer Series paper that's a host set. And then this leaf is actually from the Ladybug, Hello Ladybug, whatever that's called. So you can see I did a lot fewer layers here, a little bit different tone and everything, but I think also beautiful. So those were really fun. I hope that if you try this fold, you will share your creation with me. And I am, as always, so grateful to you all for joining me and supporting my business. And I really hope that you have a lovely evening and a lovely weekend, and go cheer for Texas Tech. I know that's what I'm getting ready to do. So talk to you soon. Thanks again. Bye.